Hello and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial we are working the late summer blouse. I made a second sample just for the purpose of this tutorial and I will hope you will enjoy it. The first sample that I made, it was using 3 different colors or 4, and now I will work it only using this Concept Yoka by Katia, just for the purpose of this tutorial. If you want to make it in more colors as the first sample, you can see some photos at the end of this tutorial or on my website. Then you should change at every row except the chain rows, where I made all the rows in the same color. But you can find on my website the stitch chart, and in the stitch chart are represented in the exactly color that I use for the first sample. So we will use a 4mm crochet hook and fingering sport yarn. I will work this blouse in size small, and we will start to work the back panel from the top to the armpit, and you'll need an 89 stitches for this. After finishing the 89 chain stitches, chain 3, and starting with the 5th chain from the hook, just double crochet into each stitch across. In case you want to adjust the number of stitches, or you want to work this in a bigger size, you will need a multiple of 3 plus 1 stitches, so the pattern to work. But I made this pattern, the written pattern, in 8 sizes up to 5 extra large, so you can follow the written pattern on my website. We will start the row 2 and we will chain 4, then skip the next 3 stitches, and in the 4th stitch we will make a V-stitch, 1 double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet into the same stitch, then chain 1, skip the next 3 stitches and work another V-stitch. And we will repeat this stitch pattern until the end of the row. We will finish the row with chain 1 and 1 double crochet into the 3rd stitch of our turning chain. We will start row 3 with chain 4, and we will work 3 double crochet into the first V-stitch, so the chain 1 space of the first V-stitch, then chain 1 and go into the next V-stitch and work 3 double crochet, and we will repeat until the end of the row. We will finish the row with chain 1 and 1 double crochet into the 3rd stitch. This 3 chain at the beginning counts as first double crochet, so always close the round into the 3rd, close the row or finish the row into the 3rd stitch. Now we will chain 3 and we will work in the 2nd stitch of each group of 3 double crochet, 2 double crochet together, chain 2, and another 2 double crochet together into the same stitch, and we will work this stitch, this motif into the each second double crochet of each set of 3 that we have on the previous row. We will continue to repeat the stitch pattern until the end of the row, and we will finish the row with 1 double crochet into the 3rd stitch. The next row will be in a triple crochet, so we will start with chain 4. And now we will have to work 1 triple crochet into each stitch, and pay attention to have the same number of stitches as we start with. So we will work 4 triple crochet into each motif, and to calculate how many stitches you'll need to make before and after the last motif, you can simply go and count the motifs, multiply by 4, and then you will know how many stitches you need to make before and after. I will start with 2. So before the first motif I will do 2 triple crochet, and then I will go and work 4 triple crochet into each motif, which means 1 in the 2 double crochet together, 2 in the 2 chain space, and 1 in the second double crochet together, 2 double crochet together. And then we will continue with this 4 4 4 until we get to the last motif, and into the last motif we will do after it 2 triple crochet and 1 triple crochet in the last stitch. I just started the row with double crochet stitches, so this was a confusion that I've made at the first, but I made an original sample of triple crochet, so let's go for it. It doesn't matter if you want to make double crochet, but maybe because there are shorter stitches, then the length we will alter a bit, but otherwise this pattern you can use the combination of stitches, you can use them as you want. So let's continue and work the triple crochet stitches until the end of the row. In this tutorial I just started with 1 double crochet before the first motif, so now I will make 3 and the 4th will be in the 3rd stitch, but not to have a bunch of stitches at the end and maybe the edge not to look that straight. It won't affect because you will have the same number of stitches, but better to start with 2 and 2, not to have this cluster, those stitches together at the end of the row. We will start the next row with chain 1 and we will turn, and then we will work 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then chain 5, skip the next 3 stitches and work a single crochet into the next, chain 5 and 1 single crochet into the next 4th stitch, and we will repeat until the end of the row. We will finish the row with chain 5 and 1 single crochet into the last stitch, and we will start the next row with chain 5, and then into the first 5 chain space make 1 single crochet, then chain 5 and go into the next 5 chain space and make 1 single crochet. And we will continue to repeat until the end of the row, and we will see right away how to finish this row. So we will close the row with chain 2 and 1 double crochet into the last single crochet. Then we will chain 1 and turn, work 1 single crochet into the first stitch, then chain 5 and go into the next 5 chain space and make 1 single crochet. And we will go and continue to repeat this stitch pattern until we will finish the row. And we will finish the row with chain 5 and 1 single crochet into the third stitch. Next we will chain 3 and turn, and we will work in each 5 chain space 3 double crochet. We will continue to work 3 double crochet into each 5 chain space, and we will finish the row with 3 double crochet and then 1 double crochet into the last single crochet. Now chain 4, and we will skip the first group of 3 double crochet, and we will work in the space into the next space between the 2 groups of 3 double crochet. We will work 3 double crochet, and we will continue to work into each space between 3 double crochet stitches until we will get to the end of the row. We will finish the row with chain 1 and 1 double crochet into the third stitch. And then we will chain 6 to begin the next row. We will skip the first group of 3 double crochet, and we will go into the next space, and we will work 3 double crochet together. Basically will be a similar stitch pattern with row 4, only that we will work 3 double crochet together this time, chain 2 and another 3 double crochet together into the same stitch or space. We will chain 3 and skip 2 groups of 3 double crochet and repeat the same motif. and we will go to repeat this section until the end of the row, and we will see right away how to finish this row. Okay, we will finish the row with the last motif into the one chain space that we have at the end. And this row is done. Now on the next row we will have to do the double crochet stitches. So again we need to have at the end of this row 89 double crochet. So we will work into each motif 4 double crochet, and into each 3 chain space we will work 4 double crochet. And again count the stitches and make sure that you'll end up with 89 stitches, the same number as we start with. And this double crochet row will be the last row for the section that needs to be repeated. So now into the 3 chain space I'm working 4 double crochet, and into the motif, meaning 1 double crochet into the 3 double crochet together, 2 double crochet into the chain 2 space, and another double crochet into the second 3 double crochet together. And we will continue to the end of the row. And now I will just finish the row with the last 4 stitches into the 3 chain space that we have, and I will go with a double crochet into the 3rd stitch. And this was the last row, repeated row, and now from row 2 up to this one you'll have to repeat the number of rows until you'll get to the armpit. For this size we will need to have 15 rows in total. If you're working a bigger size, then you'll need to work more rows until you get the height of the armhole depth. So now I will just continue to work those rows. And now I want to talk a bit about the front panels, because the front panels will be worked continuing the back panel, so starting into the foundation chain of the back panel. And we will start with the shoulder stitches, and we will need to increase on the neckline to get at some point to the same number of stitches as the back panel. Both front panels can be worked following the same pattern, meaning that right front panel will be worked with the first row on the right side, and you can follow the same pattern if you are starting the left panel with the row on the wrong side. And or we can work them in the mirror, meaning that starting with row 2, where we are starting to make the increases, we will increase at the beginning of the row for the right panel and at the end of the row for the left panel. The increases are the same. The stitch chart that you can see here, it's available on my website, so in case you find it useful you can check the link in the description below to get to see the stitch chart. And I already worked the right front panel, and we will work together the left front panel. I chose for the purpose of this tutorial to work it in the mirror, but as I said, you can work it following the same stitch pattern, but only that you will start with the wrong side row, so it will be worked reversed. Otherwise, if you're working the mirror, you'll need to increase at the beginning of the row for the right panel and at the end of the row for the left panel. So this is with the front panels, and now let's take our hook and yarn and just start to work on the left panel. So I have here for the shoulders 27 stitches, and as I said, I will start working on the right side as well. So rejoin yarn into the 27th stitch, chain 3, and then we will go and double crochet into a stitch. If you're choosing to follow the same pattern as the right panel, you'll have to start at the end of the row and you will work on the wrong side. So now we will continue working a double crochet into each stitch until we will get to the end. We will have in total 27 double crochet. Then we will chain 4 to start our second row and then skip the next 3 stitches and we will work a V-stitch into the next. Then chain 1, skip the next 3 stitches and another V-stitch into the next. And we will repeat until we will have 2 stitches left. And we will finish the row with chain 1, skip the next stitch and make a V-stitch into the 3rd chain. Now chain 3 and turn, and we will work 2 double crochet into the first V-stitch, then chain 1 and work 3 double crochet into the next V-stitch, and we will continue with chain 1, 3 double crochet into each V-stitch of the previous row. And we will close the row with chain 1 and 1 double crochet into the 3rd stitch, then chain 3 and into each second stitch or second double crochet of each group of 3 double crochet we will work 2 double crochet together, chain 2 and another 2 double crochet together into the same stitch. And we will continue to the end of the row, and we will close the row with a double crochet into the 3rd stitch. Then we will chain 4 and we will work 1 more triple crochet into the first stitch, and then we will work 1 double crochet into the space between the first motif, and then continue with triple crochet, and then continue with 4 triple crochet on the top of each motif of the previous row, meaning make 1 triple crochet in the first group, 2 triple crochet in the 2 chain space, and 1 triple crochet into the second group. And we will finish with 2 triple crochet into the chain 1 after the last motif, and 1 triple crochet into the third chain. Then we will chain 1 and turn, and we will work 1 single crochet into the first stitch, then chain 5, skip the next 3 stitches and work 1 single crochet in next, and we will repeat this section until the end of the row. We will finish the row with 5 chains and 1 single crochet into the third chain or fourth chain, because we have a triple crochet row previous, and then chain 5 and turn, make 1 single crochet into the first 5 chain space, and then chain 5, 1 single crochet into the next 5 chain space, and we will continue until the end of the row. We will close the row with chain 2 and 1 double crochet into the last single crochet, chain 1 and turn, 1 single crochet, chain 5, 1 single crochet into the next 5 chain space, and we will repeat again this section until the end of the row. We will finish the row with chain 5 and 1 single crochet into the third stitch, and then chain 3 and turn, make 2 more double crochet in the same first stitch, and then continue with 3 double crochet into each 5 chain space. We will close the row with 1 double crochet into the last single crochet, then chain 4 and turn, skip the first group of 3 double crochet and make 3 double crochet into the space before the next 3 double crochet group, and we will work 3 double crochet between each group of 3 double crochet in the previous row. We will finish the row with 3 double crochet into the third stitch, then chain 3 and turn. We will work into the first stitch 3 double crochet together, chain 2 and another 3 double crochet together, Then we will chain 3 and skip 2 groups of 3 double crochet and working into the space after the second group, and we will work 3 double crochet together, chain 2 and 3 double crochet together, and we will repeat chain 3, skip 1 space, going into the next one and make the motif until we will get to the end of the row. And we will see right away how to finish this row with chain 3 and 1 double crochet into the third chain. Now chain 3 and turn, and we will work 3 double crochet into the first 3 chain space, 4 double crochet, and then we will continue with 4 double crochet on top of each motif or 3 chain space. Okay, and now we will chain 4, turn, make 1 double crochet into the same stitch to make the first V stitch, and then chain 1, skip the next 3 stitches and work 1 V stitch into the next. And we will repeat this until the end of the row. We will finish the row with chain 1 and 1 double crochet into the third stitch. Then chain 4 and turn. And we will work into each V stitch 3 double crochet, chain 1. Now chain 3 and turn, and we will work 2 double crochet together, chain 2, 2 double crochet together into each of the second double crochet of each group of 3 double crochet on previous row. And this was the last row of the front panel, and now with the next row, which will be in triple crochet stitches, we will join the front panel and the back panel at the armpit, and from there we will continue to work on the length of the blouse, repeating the same rows, the same repeated rows until we will get to the desired length. My last row of the left panel end up at the armpit, as you can see, but I will need to start the row here in the front so I could have a continuous round with joining. If the last panel that I will work will be the right panel, this will end up in the front, so you can start all over, not cutting the yarn, and start making the joining row starting from there. But because I worked the right front panel at the beginning and I didn't realize that to leave the skein without cutting the yarn, and I just continue working on the left panel, this means that I need to cut the yarn and start all over from the front. but this will not affect your pattern, only that you will have a few more ends to weave in. So let's finish this stitch over here, and now I will cut the yarn and I will start the row rejoining the yarn into the front, or if you want to, not into the front of the back panel, because you will need in this way of the left panel, because this means that you will work again on the right side. So I will rejoin yarn into the front of the right panel, and we will need to make a few more increases at the beginning of the row by working chain 4 and 1 triple crochet into the same stitch, or 2 triple crochet into the same stitch, because I need to increase with a few more stitches to get to have the same number of stitches for the entire front as for the back. And then I will continue with 4 stitches per motif as until now. And make sure again that at the end, after the last motif, you will work again 2 triple crochet, because you will need to have the exact number of stitches. And when I will get to the armpit, I will show you how to make the join with the back panel. We won't do any armpit chain, it's not necessary for this size, but if you wish or want to get a bigger bust, or needed, so you can add an armpit chain here when making the join, but make sure that you keep a number of stitches. I will talk about it right away after explaining you how to make the join. So there are simply go and work the last triple crochet, and then go into the back panel first stitch and work a second triple crochet. But in this way, or even if you work them together, in this way the height of this row will add to the armhole depth. Yeah, because this will be open. So in case you don't want that, then you will have to work to go through both stitches at once. So through the last stitch of the front panel and through the first stitch of the back panel, to get those stitches closer and not to have this this space added to your armhole depth. And this is how I'm doing it. So before finishing the stitch, when I'm yarning over, I need to yarn over, but I'm getting first, before yarning over, through the first stitch of the back panel. And this way I made this stitch with the both stitches together, and I don't have that space at the armpit. This won't affect again the pattern, except that you will have a bigger armhole depth, which I don't think it's counting too much. And then we will continue with the pattern, working triple crochet stitches in the same manner until now, until we will get to the second armpit, where we will proceed the same. And what I wanted to say about the number of stitches is that on this row you will need to make sure that you will have a multiple of 4 plus 1 stitches, because we will need to have this amount of stitches so the pattern can keep going well. But in case you don't have, is not an issue. I had, I think, with 2 stitches less, because of these 2 stitches that was I worked together at the armpit. So on the next pattern you can simply adjust that. Okay, so now I will make the second join at the second armpit, and then I will continue with the triple crochet stitches until I will get to the end of the row. And at the end of the row, remember to increase, because we still need some stitches to have the sew the both panel together to have the same number of stitches as the back panel. Okay, so I will continue now to work until the end of the row, and in the last stitch remember to make that increase. So we increase at the beginning of the row with 2 stitches, and we will do the same into the last stitch. And then we will start to work with the next row of our stitch pattern and repeat. And we will have to start with chain 1 and turn. But first, let me show you how this is looking so far. So basically this row in triple crochet will be the last row to increase for all the sizes because the neckline is the same. And for now, if you still have to go to the armhole, so it wasn't a joining row, then you will have to continue straight. Okay, and then join and going straight from there to repeat the pattern. Now, as I said, I will start the next row with chain 1 and then 1 single crochet into the first stitch. And I told you that after counting the stitches I had with 2 stitches less, so yes, so I didn't had a multiple of 4 plus 1 stitches. So I just in this pattern we need to skip 3 stitches at every 5 chains, 5 chains. So at the armpit I just skipped 2 just to have those stitches in plus that I needed to finish the row by skipping 3 stitches. So unless of skipping at the end of the row, I just last stitches to look weird, I just decided to do it symmetrically. So on the armpit I just skipped 2 stitches just to adjust the number of stitches that I needed. This you can do the same if you don't have multiple of 4 plus 1 stitches at the end. Okay, now I repeated the pattern several times. I finished one skein of yarn and then I said that okay, I will start another one by working the sleeves. Usually I'm working like that, just not to get bored and go into that sleeve island, never-ending sleeves. So now we will use for the sleeves a smaller crochet hook. This is a 3.5 millimeter or E size, and we will work in the stitches in the side rows of the armhole depth of first row, and I'm using a smaller crochet hook just to make sure that I will get those stitches exactly through the chains because this will look nicer and neater. So I will rejoin yarn at the armpit, and then I will work 2 single crochet into each double crochet side row. I know that we have triple crochet rows as well. I will try to work there 3 single crochet, and this will adjust with the single crochet row or the rows that we have ending in single crochet or starting in single crochet. But the idea is that at the end of this row you will need a multiple of 4 stitches so the pattern could work. Every time I'm trying to explain when working into the side rows, it's really important attention because it matters how high are your rows, and this is something accordingly with your tension that you are working, and of course how wide are your stitches. So that's why it's difficult to rely on a pattern because maybe you will end up not looking that good, but just for you to know that I work 2 single crochet into each side row, so I ended up having 60 stitches at the end of this row. Now the next pattern row from the pattern will be the first one in double crochet. I just skipped this one for the sleeves. It wasn't supposed to, but I just went with the V-stitch stitches row, so it doesn't affect the blouse itself, but you can start working with a double crochet row and then making this V-stitch row. So the V-stitch we are working the same with chain 1 and skipping 3 stitches between the V-stitch. As I said, we will work in the round, so each round will close with a slip stitch into the first or third chain, first stitch or third chain, depending on which stitch pattern were used. Here I will just go with a slip stitch into the center or one chain space of the first V-stitch, because we need to work 3 double crochet stitches into each V-stitch. So this is how the rounds will be worked. We will repeat the same rows, only that work in the rounds. We won't do any decreases on the sleeve, so the sleeve is straight. We will do only a few decreases on the cuff. And I think I repeated the pattern, those rows 2 times and a half, so maybe 25 rows, but of course that you can repeat this for as many stitches that you need to get to the desired, for many rows that you need to get to the desired length. Okay, now I finished the sleeves already. I worked a cuff and I finished the length, and now I will show you how to work the cuffs. So all the edging, cuffs, neckline, bottom line will be in slip stitches in the back loop only. But before that, the first row will be in single crochet. So I'm doing around the sleeve 1 row in single crochet stitches, and I'm using the same hook size to make this row. And then we will work on the wrong and right side, always turning after each round, and I will work slip stitches into the back loop only. On the third row, but let's first finish this second one. On the third row we will do a few decreases, so the cuff to be smaller than the actual sleeve, and to do so I will work just 3 slip stitches and then 2 slip stitches together. And to make the slip stitches together, you'll have to insert the hook into the first into the loop of the first stitch, then into the loop of the second stitch, and then pass the yarn over through both. And this is like 2 slip stitches together, and we will repeat the 3 plus 1 decrease until the end of the row. It doesn't matter if the pattern won't match perfectly, so just finish the row with the stitch that you have. And then after finishing this decreasing row, we will continue with slip stitches in the back loop only until the cuff will be will have the thickness that we need or we want. I work in total 6 rows for the cuffs. But of course that you can work more. You can also use a different stitch pattern if you want for this edging. I just use that because I like the polished look of this edging, but of course that you can use whatever you want. After finishing the cuffs, we will work the bottom line. So we will start in one bottom corner and finish in the opposite one, and then at the end, after finishing the bottom line, we will just work the bottom line, the hem edging. So I will start using the same 3.5 millimeter crochet hook because I'm working into the side rows and I want to go with the stitches with the hook exactly through the chains or through the edges. And this time we will work not like into the sleeves with two single crochet into each side row, but I will go with 3 this time, and I will explain you why the slip stitches tend to be smaller. This will mean and that if you will work two single crochet or 2 stitches into each side row, then it will shrink, and your it was like I did it on the first sample, so then I realized that that is not looking okay. Well, it's manageable. It's not that it's too weird, but it shrinks, and I didn't like it, so I changed that into the pattern, and of course that I need to test it out into a sample. So I'm just going with 2 single crochet into each side row and making one more between the side rows. Again, this will depend of course on your tension, but make sure even that you see that the edging is curling a bit is not a problem, because with the slip stitches it will get straight. And we will continue to work the single crochet row up to the end, and then of course that we will start with the slip stitches into the back loop only. Of course that at the neckline on the back panel you'll have stitches, so you don't need to increase the number of stitches. There you should work only 1 stitch into each stitch. So I'm talking about the side row stitches, because this yarn is with merino, and in blocking you might get a straighter to be the bottom line to make it straight if it shrinks first, but in cotton, which was the fiber in which I worked the first sample, it was impossible, because cotton is more like it doesn't happen anything with it except that of course it's looking nicer after blocking, but it's not like you cannot stretch it out. Okay, so I will just finish this row and then we will continue with the next rows with the slip stitches into the back loop only. We will work a few rows like this, and then we will do the buttonholes. So now that I finished the row, I will change with the 4 millimeter crochet hook, and I will start working into the back loop on loops only, the slip stitches. And I will work 4 rows, or depending on the thickness that you wish for your bottom line. Usually I'm working half of the rows, number of rows, then I'm making the buttonholes and then working the other half, or less rows than the first half. So I will work 4 rows and then I will show you how to make the buttonholes. Okay, so these are my buttons. I used for this sample, I think they have 1.5 centimeters diameter. So I'm just placing them like I want them to be. I'm making sure that the last button it's a bit lower because we will have a fourth one on the bottom hem edging, and I'm placing a stitch marker where I want to be the first button. Then I'm counting the stitches through the next button, and I'm putting a stitch marker over there, and then I'm counting the same to have the same number of stitches that I have between the first two stitch markers, to have them between the second and the third. And making sure when choosing the first buttonhole space, where do you want to be, to make sure that your third one is a bit lower, because I told you it will be on the bottom edging. And now I will start to work the same stitch pattern with slip stitches into the back loop. For the buttonholes, because I have bigger buttons, I will chain 2 and skip 2. But for example, into the first sample, I used some smaller buttons and I needed it only to chain 1 and skip 1. So now we will work the slip stitches into the back loop only, and when you are getting in at the stitch marker, we will just chain 2 and skip 2. Okay, so this was the first buttonhole. And we will continue like so, and then of course that we will do the other rows that we need to finish the this edging. Okay, we just finished the bottom line edging, and make sure that you end up with a right side row, because in this way you can continue with the bottom hem edging from where you had left. And we will do the same first row in single crochet, and then we will turn and work the rows into the slip stitches in the back loop only. And of course that after a few rows, I think I work 3 or 2 rows in total, because you will need to let another buttonhole on this edge to continue and have a button on this edge too. So I will just turn now and work the next row with the slip stitches into the back loop only. And then I will I think on the next row we can go for the buttonhole. Of course that it has to be on the same size as the other one, and you can just place it to be on the same direction as the other ones. So I just made the first stitch, and then I will and the second, and then I will chain 2 and I will skip 2 stitches. And then we will continue to work this bottom hem edging until we'll finish all the rows. And this is how the blouse is looking after finishing everything, sewing the buttons, waving the ends, and so on. So this was with this tutorial. It was pretty long, but I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy the blouse as well. And I will wait for you into the next tutorial. Thank you. Bye bye.